Hey. Hi everyone, it's Allison here. So happy to be spending some time with you all. It took me a few minutes to get on here. Facebook tech was being a little bit funny. Yeah. So here we are though. I'm very happy to be here on this Sunday evening with you all. And I'm really looking forward to answering a few more of your questions and doing a little bit of a body talk session with the focus of balance. Okay, so if you have anybody who's sitting on the fence about Buddhas and butterflies, they have questions about what that is, what it's all about, this is the time to let them know that we're chatting about it. So you can go ahead and actually share this live video right from your screen as you are right now if you want, and or after we're done, and you can share it at any time really. Okay. If you have any yearning, burning questions that you just have to have answered before this opportunity goes away, which happens in about 5 hours, just under, at 11:59 MDT time zone. I'm actually in Saskatchewan, but for some reason, CST across the world sometimes is, well, that's the name of our time zone in Canada, but it sometimes gets misinterpreted and other people often end up joining me an hour off. So for right now, MDT, when we fall behind, then we're on a different time zone because Saskatchewan doesn't change time zones. So here we are. All right, everybody, give yourselves a slow, deep breath and allow yourself to just simply be here and arrive. And we just don't actually do enough of that. It's one of my favorite tools for balance, is just simply to breathe. Hey, beautiful. Okay, so I've had a couple questions. Let me just catch everybody up to speed in case you're hearing this for the first time and you're wondering what the heck is Buddhas and butterflies. Hey, Buddhas and butterflies is about transforming mental and emotional well-being for health practitioners. And that definition is really broad. What is a healthcare practitioner? That is anybody and everyone who works to help other people with their health. So because of that, you can understand why that's such a broad definition. So the idea that you can really consider this to come from is that as long as you are nourishing, nurturing any other being in your life, I would call that a health practitioner. So that includes moms, dads, anyone who's playing that mothering role in your household. Likely it's both of you, perhaps it's one of you, wherever you are on that spectrum is perfect. It could be doggy parents, if you wish. It could be doctors, it could be vets, it could be naturopaths, it could be body talkers, it could be heliosolars, it could be access consciousness people, it could be daycare workers, it could be people who work with the elderly and they care for the elderly all day long. Thank you all for doing those jobs. None of these are easy things to do. It could be somebody who teaches yoga, who does personal training, who's a chiro, who's a massage therapist, an energy worker of any sort. I listed off a few modalities, but I'm sure I've missed many. Someone who practices Reiki, a counselor, a psychotherapist, an aromatherapist. The list is really, really long. And it's my favorite thing to do, is to help all of you in this way. My name is Allison Bachmeyer, and I help transform health practitioners with their mental and emotional well-being. I've been doing it in some form or another for over 15 years in the form of energy work, and I've been teaching for over 15 years energy work as well. So I've had excuse me as I'm apparently spitting on myself, the joys of speaking live on camera. So I love being able to help any and everyone who's making an impact on nurturing and nourishing in your homes, in your businesses, anywhere in between. Why? Because I know that that's the biggest way to have a huge impact on the health of everybody. Okay? So if you are just jumping into this now, I'd love to hear a little like, hello, where are you from? I'm right now in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan in Canada, and it is in the middle of a huge heat wave. So I'm sending you all the warmth of this magical summer that we've already been in for a little while now. It only lasts for 6 weeks or something here. I'm exaggerating. So we take advantage of it. We take our summers pretty darn seriously here in Saskatchewan. So I'd love to know where you're from, and if you're a healthcare practitioner, where you consider to be your domains of health. For some of you, that might be like one thing, or you might have a whole gamut. Yeah? So feel free to drop me a little note in your Facebook chat there if you're able to get to your keyboard with ease. Okay? And before we get into doing the session on balance, I have a few questions that people have been asking about what this program is all about. So this is a program that you can get in on for the next 5-ish, just slightly under now, hours. The doors close at 11:59 tonight, so I can best provide support with people so that I'm not occupying time in ways that are distracting me from being able to best serve you. We're going to close the doors on this so we can dive into that exploration. The doors will open again in September, but this is the founders launch, which means you guys get a heck of a deal right now. So because it's called the founders launch, that's not talking about me founding anything. That's talking about you. You guys are the founders. You're the foundational members who are going to help shape and form this program to be optimally what you're into. Okay, so the cost for that is $57 a month, $570 a year is available as well. And if you pay the $570 for the whole year, you get a bonus of core reveal and release, which is a full 1-day workshop. I have it pre-recorded, as well as you have the opportunity to jump into that live. It combines the Sedona method and bioenergetics to help letting go become a natural, familiar thing. We have forgotten as a society how to just let that go so we can move on and make space to welcome in the new. People always wonder why they can't manifest what they're into and what they're about, but usually that's because their fields is cluttered with a lot of junk in the way. So the best clearing tool I've seen, the best tool that I've seen for letting go is core reveal and release. Okay. But I could talk for literally days on core reveal and release, and I do. I also teach reveal and release 1 and 2, but core reveal and release is the bonus that we're talking about that's associated with Buddhas and butterflies. Okay? So don't despair. I know a couple of you were thinking Friday night at midnight was my last chance to sign up. That's when all the bonuses went away. So I got a few emails from people bemoaning that fact. So here's your opportunity. You can still sign up for this opportunity and receive one of the 2 bonuses. So it's not quite the same, and you do have to pay the whole year. So it's not quite as good as the people who signed up before Friday at midnight. This is still an amazing opportunity. And let's just go back to that price point. That is the most insane, ridiculously low price I will ever price this at. Again, in the fall, it will be higher. And likely not just by like $5 or $10. It will take a bit of a jump. Okay, so if you're all at all on the fence, know that what you're getting at this point in time will look radically different from what you'll be getting in the fall if you choose to wait to do it then. Choice is up to you. See what you think. Always see what feels right for you. Never substitute what I'm saying or my suggestions for your own. You have to figure that out for you. You are your own inner expert on you. So Buddhas and Butterflies, what comes with it is a membership subscription to health and well-being. And where is that anywhere in the energy work field? I haven't seen it yet. It might exist. I might not know about it. I keep my ears close to the ground as I can on all of those modalities that are out there, because I'm always looking for what's the next best thing to help integrate, what's the next best idea, what's the next best thing that can tweak how it is I'm saying or thinking or conveying what I know and understand, always. So because I'm constantly looking, I haven't seen anything out there. I could be wrong. Let me know if I am. But what comes with this guy is every month you get 3 body talk sessions, and I'll be drawing on as well all my other modalities, including Helio Soul, Reiki, Healing Touch. I've got a few tricks on my sleeves, not to mention my knowledge from my anatomy degree, my psych degree, my few years of medical school. I didn't finish my MD. I finished about a year. I left about a year and a half short. I didn't finish. And I still have that bank of information, as well as I have a penchant for all things to do with nutrition and health in terms of supplementation. So I geek out on those sorts of things all the time. You'll often see me bring in the essences of different plants, supplements, herbs, and whatnot. within my work. Okay? So that's my whole gamut of stuff that I offer within those 3 sessions a month. They'll happen, week 1, week 2, week 3. And then in the 4th week, you get something different. This is your week to integrate. We'll be focusing more on releasing work. That's also why reveal and release comes with this. It's kind of an important element to have if you want to understand fully what it is we're doing. I just know that people do even better with it when they've had more exposure to the material. So the opportunity to dive in on that. And on the 4th week, in addition to reveal and release work that we're doing, we'll be integrating, we'll be doing Q&A, we'll be doing sharing, we'll be doing your explorations with you. So if you have something in particular that you're chewing on and you just need to get in front of somebody and talk it out, usually that's what we end up addressing for the whole group. It happens like magic each and every time. Every time I do a session, in fact, for a group of people, and you might get to experience this in just a few minutes yourself, I get the same feedback over and over. I thought that session was just for me. Are you sure that session wasn't just for me? Was that really for the group? No? All right, gang, I'm seeing a ton of people on here. This is awesome. I don't think my counter is right because the names that are lighting up in my chat feed are like massively high. So hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. Lots of familiar names and a few new names. So feel free to drop me a little hello, where you're from, what it's all about for you and why you're interested in this particular workshop. Or if you have a question about it, feel free to drop that in the chat feature. Might be a Facebook tech thing. I had a little bit of weirdness earlier too. So here we go. Okay, so as you know already, I love helping healthcare practitioners. I know that the best way to help them is to do it month after month. And ironically, health practitioners are sometimes the worst at taking care of themselves. You know who you are. Sometimes they put themselves on the back burner because they're so busy caring for other people. Does that sound familiar? Yeah. If it does, or if you have both hands and both feet up in the air, then this might be what you're after. This is the easiest, most affordable way I have found to be able to address your day-to-day issues at a foundational level. And because we're doing that so rigorously, we're also going to be doing it in a way that is very gentle. So the name Buddhas and Butterflies comes from Buddha, Zen consciousness, butterfly transformation. So we are transforming via Zen consciousness. Zen consciousness, to me, it has a very soft, gentle, kind side, but at the same time, it has a bit of like a take no prisoners attitude. I don't think most people associate that with Buddha, but there's this idea of like no BS can enter. That's what I mean by take no prisoners. All BS just like drops away. There isn't space for that. It's just not the arena where that can even be. Yeah. So that's what we're interested in doing with Buddhas and Butterflies, is helping transformation happen in a way that's gentle, but also doesn't pander to your BS, because you've been doing that for a long time. Most of us do as human beings. We're here to find another way. Good news, there's always another way. Always, always, always is there another way. So because you're doing it month after month, you also get the chance to dive much deeper. Because you're doing it consistently, it adds up in a way that getting a session here and there doesn't always have the same impact. What I know about health practitioners is when they're just new and just starting out, they sometimes get a little bit insecure, or there's some doubts that flare up for people, and they want even more. They want more and more knowledge. They want more and more wisdom. And they sometimes forget to actually support themselves by receiving those sessions. And that is one of the best way I know to actually integrate all the knowledge that you're taking in, as well as to gain the confidence to move forward in your practice. If you're thinking, look, that was years ago, I'm not a new practitioner anymore, I've been doing this for a long time, and you're somewhere in the middle between, having a really well-established practice or almost so successful that you can't keep up with it, or you're just burnt out because, it's been so busy for too long, then that's another ball of wax. And yet at the same time, it's not really any different. There's still doubts and insecurities. They're just being played out on a different playing field. The landscape looks like it's different, but the dirt underneath it is still the same. So we're effectively treating the dirt that's built on. Can you tell I do renovations also for fun as a hobby? And we're thinking about resodding a particular area we're on right now. You'll probably hear a lot more renovation metaphors if you hang out with me for any length of time. Because if I'm not doing one of these passions of transforming humans and helping them transform their mental, emotional well-being, you'll likely find me hanging out with a dog, or one of the three, or all of them. Most likely it's all of them. Or transforming and renovating a house, because I love the physicality of that, and I love transformation in each and every avenue that it plays out on. Okay? When we're talking about the more experienced practitioner, there's still the doubts, there's still the insecurities. They just look different about what they're about. They are usually looking to figure out how it is to navigate those waters of expansion, how to make things scalable. That's the new buzzword in the industry. Or just how to figure out their niche. What do they want to narrow down into? What do they most want to be known for? As well as there might be a bit of boredom setting in, or there might be a bit of fatigue setting in. So we can address the emotions, again, at that foundational level about what's underlying that. The inner critic voice is loud regardless of the experience of the practitioner, okay? And if you're thinking, I don't practice the modality, but she said moms and dads could like hang out with this work too. You're right. And you guys, oh my gosh, are at the front lines every single day of your household, of managing things that are like astronomically important for the well-being of our future. So I think y'all could use a little support in that. Yeah? Who wants just a little bit of TLC? Huh? So because we're diving deep into this consistently, that's where the magic happens. Yeah? And you know this too. Have you ever had those times in your life where you've committed to like a yoga practice or some sort of a thing, like a workout series at a gym, and over time, because you do it daily or several times a week, you notice progress? But then, you know, after that ends or before that, maybe you were just going here and there once a week, once every 2 weeks, twice in a week, but it was erratic. You just don't get the same kind of traction. So this is about giving you the traction that you need to find the balance that you're after in your life. Okay? Now, the thing about health practitioners is that they don't necessarily, as we talked about, do the best job of taking care of themselves, but then they begin to think that that's a good thing, and they anchor even more deeply into that. So before you know it, they're consistent about the opposite. They're consistent about sacrificing their own well-being so that others can have more. And this industry is fraught with all sorts of issues related to those behaviors. We talked about exhaustion and burnout, and I have to mention my little tag quote. I always have a quote that goes with every workshop. The quote for this one is, while burnout obviously has something to do with stress, overdoing things, not being centered, and not listening to yourself and your body, one of the deepest contributors to burnout, I believe, is the deep disappointment of not living up to your true calling, which is to help. I want to give you all the tools that you need to be able to live up to that true calling within you. Yeah. It's important. It's important to you, and it's important to me. And I understand how important that is. This is something that I have been looking at since I was little. I remember like literally being 3 years old and playing with one of my very first toys. It was a doctor's kit. That was the best way I knew how to help people. And I didn't know about anything else other than Western medicine as a kid. I also was born with a cleft lip and palate and had about 12 surgeries or so between, I think I was pretty young. I think it was about 3 months or so when I had my first one as a baby to my mid-20s. So for a long, long time, the only thing I knew about health is that you went to a doctor to get it. So my parents, you know, bought me this little doctor's kit, and I spent all my days trying to help and fix and do those things. It was my truest calling from wee little. as I got older and I got actually quite sick, I found after getting cancer, Hodgkin's disease, which is a lymphatic cancer. It's one of the best cancers you can get. Sounds kind of weird to say that, I know, but it's been, how many years now since I've been in, well, it's not really remission. It's basically after 5 years, they kick you out of the cancer center because you're too healthy to even be followed up on anymore. And I think it's 7, 8 years. It's a good thing when you lose track of that. And with that, I had an opening in my awareness that there might be another form of health care out there. I actually read a book, and I can't remember the title, but the author was Bernie Siegel, Siegel. He did placebo studies with people. And that really spoke to me because he was doing placebo studies specifically with cancer cases that were impossible to cure, like pancreatic stage 4 cancer, not the good. There's a good variant within there, and we're not talking about the good variant one. So he would help people who otherwise were seen to be almost like a write-off in the medical industry. And because of that, I opened my eyes to psychoneuroimmunology, which is a fancy word in medical school for body-mind medicine. As long as you put a really long name behind it, it somehow legitimizes even the quackiest of topics, according to Western medicine. So here we are, and I'm reading these books like Bernie Siegel, and I'm bawling my eyes out because I was like, yes, there's another way, thank goodness. And I find sooner or later myself on a massage table receiving a body talk session, and the rest is history. 15 years later, I have dove into it. I've been working with energy work for a long time, and I've been happily changing gears away from becoming a medical doctor. And I have zero regrets about that. I get that question a lot. Any regrets on that? No, except maybe I could have left a little bit sooner because I knew it wasn't right for a while, and I continued to stay. Have you ever stayed in something that you knew just wasn't quite right? Yeah. So toss that out and change directions. Haven't looked back. Love what I get to do with everybody now. So if you are interested in looking for sustainable success, I'd like to invite you to join me on this journey to become a founding member. Okay. And if you're wondering if this is right for you, well, if you are ready to break the cycle, if you're looking for a new place to rest, if you're looking somewhere to just put all your stuff down and reclaim your connection to you and to yourself, you're in the right spot. We're going to be exploring all the emotions. They're safe, they're healthy rules. We talked about that in Transform Emotions into Energy, which is actually going to be the core of the basis or the foundation from which we're springboarding. So no worries if you missed that. You'll get that when you join Buddhas and Butterflies, because it's that important to the work that we're doing. And I actually have one of the recordings from Transform Emotions into Energy, which is also closed right now, which is closed right now. I have one of the recordings on the Buddhas and Butterflies product page, which is actually a link on your Facebook Live. You should be seeing it I think it's at the top of your screen. It's at the top of my screen. I think we see it the same way, but I could be wrong on that. And we're going to be exploring those healthy roles and how to release them back to their healthy roles if they're not healthy, if they're personally attached to. We're providing you with mentality to step into that potential of your optimal health in every area, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. Speaking of which, everybody hydrate. So if you're interested in falling completely in love with the work that you get to do every single day and enhancing that experience even more and adding rocket fuel so you can like bloom with it all alongside of helping others bloom, you're in the right place. You're in the right place if you are looking for community support, if you're looking for just being tired of overwhelm and you want a new way, if you're tired of feeling like a failure, if you're tired of feeling like you're drowning within your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own experiences, your own self for that matter. If it's all just too much and it's feeling like that more than, once a month or once every, 6 months or something like that, I don't have an exact timeline on here. If that's becoming your normal, that it's all too much, if it's becoming even just a little bit uncomfortable, that things are just seemingly all too much, you're in the right spot. this is our place to dive into figuring out what feels like it's all too much. I have actually I should post it soon. I have some feedback already from somebody who is going through some of the Transform Emotions into Energy series. And she was listening to the session on grief. I think it was the grief one. Or worry. I'm pretty sure it was grief. Could be wrong. It was one of the two. Anyways, the point is, as she was listening to that, she was like nodding off, could barely keep her eyes open. And yet something worked magically for her, because the next day she showed up at the gym and she had an effortless workout despite, not even knowing how well she slept. It just, everything flowed really, really well for her. So there are already people telling me about, just from one session. That's one session. Imagine if you could have that experience, not just once, but routinely. So that was Carrie Lynn's story. I actually have another story, Lindsay Phoenix. She signed up to take Buddhas and Butterflies. And her story is, well, she actually has quite an email. I won't share it all, but I'll share bits and pieces of it. She says, wowza, such perfect timing for me. Your beautiful offer this past week, so rich and deep as usual. The sessions are fully addressing where I'm at, and I've been working with the perfect support to move through, shift, and release all of that. I love how you started with fear and anger and then moved into actually I went into fear, anger, then grief, and then moved into worry and sadness. And when I explained why I did that, it made a lot of sense for her. She felt the rightness of it. And the first two really just paved the way for going deeper. Okay. So she's got quite a story. She, 7 months ago, sold all of her belongings, gave up her apartment, quit her job, began to travel with her son to Europe, total gypsy style, and was like really loving that. But now she only has 4 days left and the venture is shifting gears. So she wants something to stabilize her and look into her practice again and looking at the passion that she has for it, ways to rekindle it. So that's why she stepped into this. She's looking for facilitating some really deep healing and continuing to help herself so she can stabilize what she's offering to others. So how cool is that? And I love the way that she ends the email. She ends with, so all this is to say I'm in. Truly, you had me at the name. Thanks for loving the name as much as I do. I wasn't sure about the name at first when I came up with it, but it came in an intuitive flash. I knew I had to put it out there. And it, like I was saying, Zen Consciousness Transformation works perfectly for what I'm up to and what this series is all about. All right, loves, give yourselves a slow, deep breath. We're going to step into this session in just a moment. Okay. So if you need a quiet, cozy place, this is your time to go find that and carve that out for yourselves so that you can sit or lay and be undisturbed for our session in just a few minutes. Okay, we're going to get rolling in actually like an actual just a couple of minutes. I think I said a few minutes earlier, and then I got excited about answering questions. So I think that answers all the questions that I've been getting. If you have any additional questions, I'm here. I'm available even after the live. Send me an email, send me a text, send me a Facebook message, an Instagram DM. However you want to get a hold of me is perfect. Yeah. I always joke a carrier pigeon. And more I find myself forgetting about the phone. But yeah, you could probably call me too. That's still something people do, right? Maybe, I don't know. So it's available, it's there. Or, just a psychic telepathic communication. You can get all the information that you need just by tuning in. It's all in here. Just get what you need. Okay, loves. Give yourself a few slow, deep inhales and exhales, using breathing here as a very conscious tool to connect to our topic at hand, balance. Slow, deep inhales and exhales. And with every breath, just imagine on every exhale, this is your opportunity to release, to let go. And with every exhale, begin to feel yourself sink even deeper into that cushion below you. I know that we're just about to do a mini session, and just as I began, I got one more question popping up here in my email from you all, and I'll answer it real briefly. What's the time per week? And the time will be under an hour every week. So our first 3 will definitely be under an hour. The 4th one might on occasion, because I'll be live answering questions, etc., might go over an hour. The first 3 may be live, they might be pre-recorded. You guys get to vote on that as founding members. Okay, loves. So I'm definitely shifting gears now. I'm closing out email. Okay, there we go. So as I invite the group energy in, the perimeter, the edges of the body look like they're doing this. It's like things are trying to leave and things are trying to come back, and things are trying to leave and things are trying to come back. It's just got this chaotic confusion feeling. It's almost like if you can imagine, well, you are liquid, but if you can imagine your whole being is as liquid as it actually is and not how it seems to be all solid. It looks like boiling water that's like trying to like bubble up, but nothing actually can get out and nothing can get in. And the message that I'm seeing here about all that is that there's just this inflexibility. There's a little bit of rigidity combined with confusion. And that confusion energy is making it almost feel kind of nauseous at times or nauseating. So we're going to do an emotional release of that confusion from the perimeter of your body. It sounds such a weird word to use, which is AKA your skin. But the perimeter is actually an important word to use because it's bringing up the topic of, like I'm going to stake out my perimeter. I'm going to set my boundary. It's got that kind of an energy to it. It's got the boundary energy to it all. But for whatever reason, we're calling it a perimeter for right now. As we address this within the perimeter, instead of seeing the boundary or the edge of your being as a limitation, as a restriction, we're actually going to see it as the thing that helps to define you within you, but also allows you to connect limitlessly to others. So when you honor the sense of who it is you are within yourself first, rather than escaping yourself or trying to escape yourself to look for it out there, you actually expand limitlessly within yourself. As you expand limitlessly within yourself, the whole bubbling sensation is starting to die down, and that expansion can now more truly take place outside of you as well as it can inside of you. All these concepts are flooding in, and if I can clarify anything for anybody as we go, just ask questions. I feel like I have just touched the surface on that explanation. No pun intended, since we're talking about the perimeter or the surface. Okay. So with this confusion that's here, we also need to run lymphatic drainage for the perimeter of the body mind. And this idea that you have to so rigidly define yourself in order to feel safe within yourself. What if you could be within yourself even safer, more fully, without needing any rigidity or any definitions of who that should be or what that should look like or what you have to think, wear, believe, act like, your way of being, whatever it may be. So as we clear that out with lymphatic drainage work, we're also bringing in liver, gallbladder energy. Liver and gallbladder help to give nice, solid boundaries. They help to also give a sense of expansion. So we've known this for a long time. Healthy awareness of your boundaries and your perimeters is actually what's allowing your expansion within you, which then in turn can get mirrored externally. So you can have that expansion out there as much as you're having it in here. Okay. Okay, now as we bring in the liver and the gallbladder energy for that role, we also need to work with, in part, where they rule, which is in the brain. The gallbladder goes deep into, well, it actually governs your whole brain, but it goes deep into the limbic emotional brain, and it really, in particularly, governs the amygdala, your center for overreaction or responsivity. And the liver meridian helps to govern this portion mostly. So I'm seeing right now the gallbladder and the liver they're almost at war with each other about trying to define whose boundary is whose. So it's time to end the game of, this is my boundary. Okay, no, I'm defining this boundary. Again, there's all this confusion and rigidity around boundaries, which is also a really good mirror for the macro out there, the mass consciousness that's out there. In the macro world, they think that there's all of these concepts that go with boundaries, which usually mean I drew my line in the sand, don't cross it, versus an effortlessness, a lightness, okay? So as this begins to just calm down, it's just starting to go, the thing that we need to actually do to help that out even more is do an emotional release of anger. And it's coming off of, it's not very anatomical, but this line, okay? So it's just on the side of the head. So if you could draw like an imaginary line between the sides and the top of your head, yeah, it's in there. As we take off that anger, it's going all the way from the front to the back and down through into where the skull joins the spine. And that's where the bulk of this is. Okay? And what I'm seeing here is just frustrations around feeling stuck, frustrations around not being able to move forward like you wish, because there's all this energy being placed on boundaries versus expansion. So we're needing to take off this anger energy. And as we do that, there's actually a layer of sadness underneath it. And I commonly see that there's like one emotion underneath it, there's another, underneath it, there's another. So as we clear out the underlying sadness, it's associated with a set of belief systems. And the theme with this, and a lot of people have this idea that sadness means you're depressed, that you're in despair, that you're lonely, that you're alone, or you're feeling alone. But we're actually working with a slightly different take on sadness. And this is the sadness around something feeling like it's not quite right. And this is the sadness around you feeling like you're not quite you, like you're not quite yourself. This isn't like you're sobbing in the corner. This is just like something's just a little bit off. I can't put my finger on it, but it's just not right. So it's almost like the compass within you is off by, an eighth of a turn or less. It's like off by a couple of degrees out of the full 360, okay? Apologies for the math references there. I'm a math lover, okay? So as we are addressing all of this and the line and the anger and the sadness here, we need to run hydration through all of those areas. Hydration helps your cells to absorb water and joy. It also helps them to release impurities, okay? So we're going to do all of that. And then on the left-hand side of where the skull joins the spine, on the OA joint or the occipital-atlanto junction here, axis has lots of names. And we need to do a little bit of unwinding of the connective tissue. Things are just wicked tight in there. And then we need to go into the small intestine energy, which rules discernment. It's almost like you're struggling to figure this out. And anytime we step into over-discernment or over-analysis, we usually end up paralyzing ourselves. So we think we're thinking about things or using healthy discernment, and we often end up just growing fear or neuroticism. And we end up paralyzing any forward momentum, which is also what's behind this all staying so stuck for you. Okay, so as we're releasing this, we need to go into, this isn't so anatomical. Let me point it out on myself here a little bit more. So it's around this area. Okay, so it's not one muscle, it's not one area in particular that I could say. It's like the shoulder, it's the neck, it's the spine. It's within this whole region of the lower portion of the cervical spine, in through the tops of the shoulders. We work through the small intestine more in the front and the side. This now area is going into the back of it all. And here is all this energy around thinking that you have to keep things together, that you have to hold it all together. That's where all this is. And there's a lot of emotion there. There's some rage, there's some real pissed offness, and there's a whole bunch of fuck you energy in there. So all the fuck yous that you have been suppressing versus expressing. FYI, I tend to swear like a sailor when I do this work, because if I filter here, then I'm filtering transformation. It doesn't work well. Okay? And sometimes that's just the right word to describe the situation. In this case, that's what it is. And all of that's been suppressed because it isn't always politically correct or acceptable by our cultures, by our standards, to have that and to have that be expressed or said or embodied in any way, shape, or form. Okay. All right, love. So as we take this all off, as we release all of that, and we need to work with the navel. And it sounds a little bit funny, I know, but your navel is your center for connection. That's the consciousness that it carries. And as well, the navel is and I don't use a lot of Chapman reflexes because I haven't studied it very much, but there's a huge neurolymphatic Chapman reflex here, which controls how it is you're holding your postural muscles, okay? And this guy helps to relax in part the psoas muscle. It also helps to do a few other things. We're going to work with it from all those understandings to enhance connection, as well as to release the psoas muscle, connects your low back to your hip to release fear. Everybody hydrate. Okay. And as we do that, we're going to head into your back body. We started all the way up here, and it's like we're snaking down into the right hip. The back of the right hip is holding all of your masculine foundational energy. And there's this just like gray, it's almost like metal combined with rock is the image that I'm seeing. It's the feeling that I've had with it all too. And it's almost like this gigantic metal boulder that's stuck there because it thinks that that's what you need. It thinks that that's what you need to stay grounded. And in fact, it's actually just weighing you down because now everywhere you go, you're lugging this boulder with you. And that's not an easy way to move. Okay, and with that, we actually need to jump all the way down to both ankles. There's this decision-making quality the ankles hold via that gallbladder meridian. I know we talked about the gallbladder meridian being up here. Also, it rules the ankles. And there's this decision. And there's this feeling of being stuck whenever you are faced with a decision. Or for some of you, it's not necessarily stuck, but it's just a little bit like overthinking, like we were talking about earlier. And that you think that you have to think about it from all these angles. So there's this pattern, basically foundationally speaking, now needing to overthink rather than just being able to honor your instincts and make a decision that is in alignment with what you need at the very core of you. Okay, and then we're going to go into the very bottom of the feet. So like we're looking at the soles of the feet now. On the soles of the feet, there's all this red, raw, it almost looks like it's been burned. And that's the energy that's carrying, of feeling burned alive. So if you've ever felt burned by decisions that you felt that you made, that's where this ankle stuff is coming from. So we actually need to release that. And we're going to take out the associated heat with that. And by doing that, we're also going to do a 5-element balancing. Fire, earth, metal, water, wood, or there are five elements. This one just has a little bit too much heat, a little bit too much fire. So we need to scale that back. We're actually going to bring in some metal element just to bring things into a cooler place for you. And then we're going to connect to the earth element, which helps you to ground and connect to the earth that the feet are touching. And then for the kidney 1 point, that is in the very center of the sole of your foot. I won't stick my foot in front of the camera. The kidney 1 point is dominated, or not dominated, it's governed by the water element. And right now it's being too dominated by fire to be connected to that healthy water element that it needs to be able to go inward, to contract, to soak up the grounding energy, as well as to keep your awareness of you inside of you, rather than it going outside of you, looking for the answers out there, because they're not out there. You know, you've looked. Are they out there? Are you still looking? You haven't found them then. So if you're still looking, that means, well, you need to look somewhere new. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to look somewhere new. Okay. We need to address that whole pattern that's being held in your body mind. And as we address that all, we're going to connect it through to the heart chakra, because the heart is phenomenal at balancing, at neutralizing, at harmonizing. That's what it does. And as we're stepping into your heart energy field, know that you're also working with the most expansive energy field there is in your entire body mind. If you like to address all of that, you can place a hand either on your heart or on your navel, and we're going to go ahead and tap that all in. Slow, deep inhales and exhales, breathing here. You can tap along with me, or you can just lay back and receive. Okay, give that all a few slow, deep inhales and exhales. Oh, good. I have some great comments up here. Elizabeth is saying, I just made the leap to opening a commercial location for my Body Talk practice. High five, Elizabeth. That's amazing. Good for you. Lots of emotions and concerns about being successful. That's natural. That goes with it all. Love your work and your support. Oh, you're welcome, Lovebug. Thank you. Okay. And Linda says, so timely. Oh, yes. Perfect. I'm glad. Thank you. You're welcome. My pleasure. Okay. Okay, loves. To help integrate this all, we need to do a technique called switching. Switching helps to cope or deal with stress. Feel like I'm dressing and undressing all hour here for y'all. Don't worry, the scarf is the only thing that's coming off. We could do more, but then Facebook would ban the video, and then no one would be able to share it or know about that, and that would be a real shame. So in order to keep it Facebook friendly, I'll just take the scarf off. But that's all that you need to see. We're looking for the switching reflex points, and they're on your upper chest. They're in here. And you don't need to find them. I'm just showing you where they would roughly be. And they're about here or so on your body. So collarbone, sternum, about 1.5 inches down and out, roughly about here, okay? The camera makes them look a little bit crooked, but I am on the same line of rib, okay? And so from the collarbone to the sternum, we go down and out. These points in Chinese medicine are known as Kidney 27 acupuncture points. In Body Talk, we have a different name for them. We call them the switching reflex points. In Brain Gym, they call them the Brain Gym buttons. You will see lots and lots of names for these guys. Also, it's a good sign when lots of modalities are calling the same points a different name, because it means everybody knows that these points have a special thing about them. There's an alchemy, there's a magic to these points. These points, from our perspective, what we use them for is to help cope or deal with stress. Okay, so we're going to hold. I'm going to hold here. You can hold here if you like. And we're going to tap to help this all integrate. Slow, deep inhales and exhales, breathing here. Okay. As soon as I did that, and I'm pretty sure it's why we needed to do it, there was this like whoosh of fear that I felt go. For some of you, it might be terror. For some of you, it might be anxiety. For some of you, it might just be like a little bit of concern of like, huh? Yeah, wherever you are in the spectrum is perfect. But it's coming from actually where we were working earlier, along the lines of the head and then down through into the neck. It has more of a bioenergetic established thing to it, and it's like this helmet of fear that you've been using to protect yourself. But unfortunately, this helmet isn't so protective. It's actually literally been clogging up all 5 senses, filtering out what it is you actually need in terms of your awarenesses to be able to move forward with your work that you're engaging in. So we need to address this fear, and it's literally got like little anchors into every one of the 5 senses. And the sensor for touch is like all through the skin of the face, okay? And it's actually just a titch worse than that. Don't worry, there's good news coming. We can release it easily. Do it all the time. But it's a titch worse than that in that it's formed this identity that you think that this is who you are, and you are not your fear. I promise you so much. You are not your fear. This is not who you are. This is not real. It just feels that way. And for some of you, perhaps it's even been the only experience that you've had of yourself. So let's change that, okay? So we're gonna take off this fear, this bioenergetic fear, and I'm going to be releasing it. And as I do that, your focus is on breathing. That's the most important thing. And if you wish to tap along with me, go ahead and do so. And then as this is being released, we're going to expand the Wei Qi. Wei Qi is your protective energy layer that's naturally there. It helps to synthesize. It works with communication. It works with protection that's effortless. It's not like, oh gosh, I have to protect myself. It doesn't come from a place of fear. It just is, okay? It's just naturally present everywhere you go. And as we do all that, expand the Wei Qi, we need to do just a little bit of TLC for your immune system. Anytime you hear immune system, think acceptance, rejection. So there's this bit of you that's actually been accepting this identity of fear, and it's time to turn the tables around. Yeah. So as the body mind recalibrates that, it's also going to be able to then be more readily able to reject other forms of fear and step into accepting what's behind the fear. Behind fear, there actually is the ability to take practical, healthy action and to take action that is in alignment with you instinctively without having to overthink about it, without becoming paralyzed, there we go, without becoming paralyzed, without stepping into any of the other unhealthy forms. It can just be here to do what it does best. Fear energy also helps things to go inward. So if you've been trying to integrate a new awareness and it just seems to keep slipping through your fingertips, that's because there isn't enough healthy fear there to help it literally go inward and give light to that aha moments that often, well, we get addicted to chasing that, don't you? If you work in consciousness-based medicine? Yeah. Okay, loves. So again, I'm going to do all the heavy lifting on this end. If you like, you're welcome to take your hand anywhere along that pathway where we're working. I'm going to hold right at the base of the neck again, and I'm going to address that here. Slow, deep inhales and exhales. I'm going to tap over all three brains. I sometimes do this in order. I sometimes skip around. There is no real right or wrong. Breathing here. Okay, beautiful. All right, loves. Give that all a slow, deep inhale and exhale. Maybe just close your eyes for a second. Go really inward with that one, just for a moment. Let that integrate. Okay, loves. And just scan your body. Just notice what this feels like. If and only if you have anything that remains, if you feel complete, you're good, you're done, don't force it. But if you have anything that remains, just allow it to be here. In fact, welcome it to be here. Seems counterintuitive, I know. You're trying to spend all this energy in getting rid of it versus letting go. So let's learn a new way to let go. Just invite it in. Welcome it. Just in the welcoming of it, notice that it ends the push-pull game. So it doesn't have to push so hard back. And now, could you let that go? Just for now. And as best as you can, would you let that go? When? We're going to do that one more time. If there's anything here that remains for you to address, any strong feelings, any thoughts, etc., just welcome them to be here. And as best as you can, could you let that go? Just for now, would you let that go? When? I lied. We're gonna do it one more time. Last time. Last round. Anything that's here that remains, don't force it, but if there's something here to be addressed that you'd like to let go of, allow it to be here. Welcome it. Observe it. The only thing required for healing is observation. Just for now, could you let that go? Just for now, would you let that go? Just for now. When? All right, lovelies. Take all the time you need here. And know that that was just a little sample of reveal and release work. We do a lot more than that. Okay. I have so much more to share with you all. I invite you to dive deep into Buddhas and Butterflies with me so we can partake in that together. Thank you all for being here, and I look forward to getting to share even more with you. Okay. Any questions in the meantime, let me know. Jump on this opportunity while you can. There's just under 4 hours left to do so. Okay. Thank you all. Bye for now.